Welcome back to Nothing But Nets. Got some shocking news today. The Nets beat the Rockets in Houston by double figures. John, Dylan, anything else go on in the world of basketball last night? Anything else happen?
Yeah, something that actually made me happy / like pretty cool because, why are we winning basketball games? I don't know. Luka Doncic traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, if you're talking about the craziest trade of all time, I think the Nets officially take a back seat on the worst trade in NBA history. Like, this is next level, unbeatable, generational trade that we're not going to see for a very long time. Luka Doncic to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris, with only one first-round pick going to Dallas. It's insane to me. I can't even put it into words. I got like 3 hours of sleep because I was just sitting there refreshing Twitter, waiting for another potential trade happening. But yeah, man, the last 12 hours have been crazy.
So where were you when the news hit? Like, I feel like this is like the big. What were you doing when you saw this?
It's funny. I actually brought this up to a friend. We were playing video games last night when it all went down. Like, if you're thinking about top five, like for me personally, top five, where were you when this happened? This trade, Kobe's death, 3-1 comeback for the Cavs, Derek Jeter's retirement, Pittsburgh Steelers' last championship in 2009. Like, that would be my top five right now of just, I knew exactly where I was when this happened. It is by far one of the craziest things, if not the, like, this is literally like trading Patrick Mahomes for, say, Aaron Rodgers. Like, it's insane how LA was able to pull this off. I mean, it's not even them pulling it off. Dallas approached them. Like, how do you give up on a 24-year-old?
I was gonna say that. How does that conversation go? Like, do you call the Lakers like, "Hey, are you guys interested in Luka?" Like, how did that conversation go? Yeah, I think I am.
You know what's crazy, Gary? Dylan probably watched it yesterday. We were watching the Royal Rumble yesterday. All you sports entertainment fans, did any of y'all think Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso, was going to win the Royal Rumble? We had the likes of John Cena, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, former world champions, and a guy who's primarily a tag team champion beats all those people. The odds of that happening, nobody had Jey Uso winning. But now you fast forward to Luka getting traded on the same night. Nobody ever would have predicted stuff like that would happen. I was on Breezy's show, and we all thought Shams got hacked. But it turns out not only did he not get hacked, but the NBA world went topsy-turvy because now you traded a top 5 generational talent for a middle-aging center and one pick. Like, I don't know if the Lakers pull off maybe the greatest fleece job of all time, but if you're offering me Luka Doncic, I will give you the house, the mansion, I will give you everything for that. And it turns out the Lakers didn't have to give up that much just to get Anthony Davis. So the props to the Lakers, because now not only did you reset your organization, you basically told LeBron James, you don't run the team no more. We're running the team, and Luka Doncic is the horse we're betting on. So I think for the Lakers long term, it does them a lot of good because now they have their future superstar. As far as the Mavs go, you have a short-term window, but man, you're banking on Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis to win you a title when they're both in their 30s. I think the Mavs have a lot of consequences coming their way, whereas the Lakers, they just might pull off the heights of a century, but there's still a lot of information that has to be coming out about how this all went down. But the fact that none of the superstars knew about it just goes to show you how crazy and dirty-handed this whole thing came to fruition.
We got the full panel now. We got my boy LBL in the house. LBL, where were you when this news went down? What were you doing, and what were your first thoughts?
Well, it's historic. It was historic in that I was on Big Fan Breezy's podcast with John at the time, so we were all on there and saying, wow, this has to be fake, right? John must have said it about, half a dozen times, like, no way.
No freaking way.
I was live on my boxing channel, and someone had put it in my chat, and I was reading the chats, and someone said Luka to LA or Luka to the Lakers. I was like, well, this didn't happen. And he goes, yes, it did. So I'm like, wait a second. And I Googled Luka, right? And I saw Sam's his tweet. I'm like, no way. Like, no way. And I kept clicking it. Like, this is real.
What was really weird, and I'm glad that as far as for all of us Nets fans, Big Fan Breezy did make sure that he thanked Dylan for being the first one to break it out of all of us podcast people. But he also said, but what was really weird about it was that although everybody else went off the site or they went and checked the internet to see if it was real, even though it was coming from Shams, ESPN, their official site, they were like one of the last people to confirm it. Then we all started getting our notifications from ESPN, like maybe like 30 minutes after it happened.
It was. I want to read it. League should veto the trade, but they won't. Last time they vetoed a trade was obviously the Chris Paul Kobe trade, right?
Yeah.
Why would the league? I mean, there was a reason, and I forget, and maybe Dylan remembers or you remember. There was
It was because the ownership of the New Orleans was still partially in the hands of the NBA. Remember,
Right.
They were going through that transition period, and it would make it look like other teams would come forth and say the NBA is really making this trade, not the Hornets ownership. So that's why Stern put the kibosh on it.
I never loved that trade as much as everyone else did for the Lakers. Like, I love Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant's like my favorite player ever. But it putting a point guard like that with Kobe like doesn't seem to be maximizing both players to me, right? Like, if you're gonna have Chris Paul run the point, now you're taking the ball out of Kobe's hands.
I didn't. I thought it would have worked because I think above all else, I don't think Kobe's. I think Kobe. I think Kobe would have. I think Chris Paul would have deferred to him, and I think Kobe wanted to win so bad that he would have made it work. It's not like he's balling with Derek Fisher.
Yeah, it probably would have, right? But like, if you look at Mike never had a great point guard. Kobe played with Steve Nash. It didn't work, and I get Steve Nash was shot. I get it, but like when you have that kind of ball dominant guy, putting him with an all world distributor like Chris Paul, I'm not saying it can't work. It could, but to me, it doesn't seem like a match made in heaven. Like, that's not like a perfect combination. It's not like.
But to his credit though, Chris Paul is, he is a very versatile player.
Yes.
He's ball dominant on teams where they don't have better players than him. But if you look at it, he definitely can hit the three. He definitely can be a spot up shooter, and he can come in and hit some some mid range stuff when the number one scorer is out. He's just never had that person. It's like in Charlotte, in Charlotte he didn't have it, and then so it's really like I think he would have adjusted his game so I think they both would have adjusted their game to win.
I want to address this first to Dylan. This is my boy Hawk. And I just want to read this comment. I can't make sense of this from the Mavs perspective. Why not open up a bidding war for Luka? Literally every team in the league would be interested, and they would have gotten more than AD and a 29-1. We kind of talked about this a little over. You want to address this, Dylan?
I mean, I genuinely have no explanation for it. I think this is one of the. We were talking about it before. This could either be the most genius trade of all time, because look at the reports that are coming out. They're saying Luka may be 270 pounds right now, right? He hasn't played basketball in 2 months. If he's really on his Zion Williamson eating habits, could the Mavs be thinking, hey, this guy's due a supermax contract. Is he going to end up like Ben Simmons in terms of health and digression? You can point the two together, but at the same time, Ben Simmons was never a top 5 player averaging a 30-point triple-double. You don't just give up on that for a pick and an older all-star. It's not adding up to me. So it's strange. I think they could have went to San Antonio and got every young player they have and 5 firsts for Luka, and it would have been a better trade. There is so many other options out there that they could have done. But they seemed hell-bent and set on Anthony Davis for some reason. I don't know if it's because of Kyrie. Kyrie, when he was in Brooklyn, there was rumors that Anthony Davis and him wanted to play together. So it's like, did Kyrie have something to do with it? Are the Mavs just panicking because maybe financially something with ownership, they can't afford to keep Luka at that long of a contract with that salary? Like, I don't know, but it is one of the strangest trades I've ever seen in my life. It's probably the strangest.
Well, let me give my perspective on the trade because I haven't. You want to go first, Sean? I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. Listen, I think it's hard to figure it out, but based on information we've all been getting since last night, it seems that front office were just dead set. Like, there's hating a person does not want to be on one of the last surviving people on the planet with this guy, and that's it. That's where the Mavs were. They were like, no way possible we can go forward with this guy. I think the biggest thing was they reached the finals last year, but you just guys saw with Luka, he was complaining a lot. He was doing what he always does, gets very emotional, and you wonder if that could have affected things. Then he came into spring training dealing with some, unhealthiness again, and I just felt like a revolving door with him. Like, at the end of the day, this guy is one of the best scorers in the league, but conditioning is such a huge thing that not many people look at. But even if Luka was 300 pounds, he could still score like nobody's business. But in their minds, it was like, this guy seems to not really care about his conditioning, but he's telling us, you need to bring me winning pieces. I want to win. I want to win. And I just think Nico was like, why do I want to give this guy what he wants when he's not even willing to stop eating burgers? So it just seems like they were at the end of their rope with this guy. And who did Nico go to? He went to his best friend in Rob Pelinka. These two guys are as thick as thieves. They have connections to the Lakers going back to Kobe Bryant. So if any deal was going to go down, it wasn't going to be for a large haul. It was going to go for who's my best friend and how can we help each other out. And look what they did. They did basically a friendship exchange. I give you Anthony Davis. You guys have a 2-year window to win a title right now. We get our next generational superstar in Luka. And as soon as LeBron retires, that's who we got. So it just seems like this was a friendship GM business deal, and nobody expected something like that to happen. But I'm with Dylan, too. You could have had one of the greatest bidding wars of all time for a generational talent this summer. But to do it the way they did right now for Anthony Davis, listen, probably one of the best centers in the league. But if you're talking about superstar generational, Anthony Davis is not in any of those conversations. So I think Nico, not only has a lot of explaining to do, he has to convince the Mavs fan base that this is a decent move, not even a great move, a decent move, because the fan base is ready to bring their pitchforks and torches to this guy right now. So there's definitely a lot of consequences that are going to happen between now and however long these relationships last. But it is definitely a shocker, like Dylan said. And this either might go down as one of the greatest trades of all time or one of the biggest disasters of all time.
I wanted to kind of give my take on this, and then we'll get to Pete, because Pete here, we got Pete from Nets fans, Appreciate you showing up, Pete. But to me, I'm looking at Luka. He's just 25, so he's not going to feel it now. If he's 270 pounds, that's a major problem. It's a guy that's not committed to basketball. I see this all the time in my sport, in boxing.
I knew you were going there.
The guys that stay on their fight weight fight till they're 40. Bernard Hopkins, Floyd Mayweather, they are able to do it till they're 40 because they don't party. They're not killing themselves with alcohol. They're not staying out till 6 in the morning.
Yep.
They're not blowing up in between fights. They are staying on course, and they can do it till they're 40. Guys who are equally as good, Julio Cesar Chavez, Ricky Hatton, who like to blow up and gain 50 pounds in between fights. Remember the Ricky Hatton posters where he fights out 140 and he's up over 200 pounds in between fights. Those guys are shot by the time they're 30. Done. They can't do it. You
Riddick
see
Bowe,
Riddick Bowe, Big Daddy, one of the great talents the heavyweight division has ever seen. He can't stop eating, right? It's a problem. And they're looking at him, okay, we have 1 year left with Luka, and then he's got this option. He's going to opt out. And then I have to decide whether or not I want to commit $350 million to him until he's 30 years old. I can't do that because he's not taking his job seriously. He's not taking his career seriously. So what can I do? Like, Kyrie's going to come off the books at the end of the year. He got an option. He's probably going to explore free agency now, I would imagine. And then I would have 1 year left with Luka. This is getting broken up anyway. What can I get? I can get Anthony Davis. That could help me win this year. I do believe Dallas right now, in theory, is closer to beating Oklahoma City than they were yesterday. I do believe that, right? Because you can't – they showed it yesterday. They can't defend guards at the highest level. They're going to get cooked and they're going to get beaten. And then both Luka and Kyrie are going to have to score 35 points a night like they did against Minnesota. Like they're going to have to be smoking hot every night to win. It's like it's not really feasible. And then you're going to go play Boston or you're going to go play the Knicks, and then they're going to beat you because you just don't defend well enough. And when you get to the finals, you have to be able to get stops, and they can't do it. So I know the trade seems weird, but I do think that – and the other thing is, look, I don't know if this is going to work because for the last 6 years, what has Dallas done? All they've done is try to build around Luka, right?
Yeah.
That's been plan A, B, and C. And then at the drop of a hat in the middle of the night, they just trade him for Anthony Davis, who could not be a more different player. But we talk like it's just Anthony Davis. If we ended the season right now, Anthony Davis might be the league's MVP. He's averaging like 30 and 12.
Yeah, he's having a phenomenal
He's
year.
having a phenomenal season. So it's not like they just got Anthony Davis. I said this off air. Anthony Davis is a top 5 ever talented big man, just from a talent perspective. Like, he's one of the most talented 6'11" guys to ever live.
That's defender in the league.
It's not like you got nothing for him. It's not like you got a role player or a mid-level. You've got one of the most talented bigs to ever live. I don't know if this is going to work, but I didn't think they were going to go that far last year. I definitely didn't think they were going to win the West again this year. I think I still wouldn't pick them to beat Oklahoma City, but I think this makes them closer than they were before.
Yeah, it does. I'll let Pete go, and then I'll go.
Go ahead, Pete. Introduce yourself.
I think
what we got going on.
Not much. I just dropped an episode the other day. You can check that out on my YouTube, Net fans, But I just wanted to jump into the conversation. I definitely think that Dallas is better. But how do you not get out of like a 25-year-old old world player? You don't get a Bridges type return. You don't get a KD type return. I
Gobert.
That's shocking. Like 80 is 32 years old, right? How many more good
31.
years does he have left? He's already hurt, right? I look at that, and the last thing I'm going to say before I'll pass it off is this could be huge for the Nets because now you have Dallas, who may be interested in CJ. You have the Lakers, who I don't know what they could possibly offer, but they need a big man right now, and Claxton will look great on that team.
Yep.
We're going to get to that in just a minute. But, Pete, I want to ask you one follow-up question. And I want to move this back to Claxton and how this affects the Nets, because it affects the Nets in 2 ways. Hawk in the chat asked about opening it up to a bidding war. Could they have done that? Could they have put, like, kind of, a week or two ago, put Luka on the trading block and saying we're accepting all offers, or is it just too much attention? Would it have caused more problems than solutions to like, open up a bidding war for Luka? Did they do it the right way, where they just went in and got what they wanted, or should they have put him on the auction block?
I mean, in any world, I think you have to put him on the auction block. Like, did they do it the right way? Maybe. But in terms of an organizational standpoint, they got fucked. Like, you're telling me that Mikal Bridges got 6 first-round picks? You're telling me that you couldn't get, an all-star caliber player plus 4 first-round picks for Luka? Like, you got Anthony Davis and a singular first. That's absurd.
Insane. It is insanity.
What if you went by this way, right? What if you traded Luka to the Knicks for all those picks that you got for Bridges? Let's say the Bridges trade doesn't happen, obviously, right? You trade him to the Knicks, you get those picks. Do you think it would have cost them less using those draft picks to get AD? I think it would have been probably better for the Lakers to get the draft picks, and maybe you could switch around and get other players because they need more than one player right now. Their roster is built for AD and LeBron, right? Not Luka and LeBron. I think that's the issue.
I mean, they're a big man away, realistically. Like, you were able to get Luka Doncic without giving up Austin Reeves. That's huge, right? Like, as of right now, your starting five is Luka, Reeves, LeBron. You can probably package up Rui for a big man and start DFS next to that big.
All right, you just segue. I want to segue because Rui would probably be a part.
Let me give my.
Go ahead.
Thanks. I just wanted to say I think the immediate impact is Dallas is better. This looks like a post LeBron move to me. It looks like after the season, depending on whatever the Lakers do, I feel like now they'll put the LeBron retirement tour on display, and who just wants to sell tickets by getting LeBron and his son and whatever. And I don't rule out a back to Cleveland package or something either. Like, so but as far as if they don't get their center now, who knows? Maybe they'll trade LeBron back for Allen or something, or Mobley or something. But the thing that I think everybody is really struck with basketball wise, it makes more sense, but compensation wise, it doesn't. And when you're saying, like, as Dylan is saying, a bidding war, they could have actually offered this to Minnesota for Ant-Man. Like Luka is that kind of player where he's so good and so young.
Let me push back on that. Let me push back that, LB.
Trade him for almost any.
Let me push back on that.
Wemby. Go ahead.
If I have Anthony Edwards, who's a physical freak, right, or Luka, who's a fat guy who drinks beers all day, who I might kick out of my gym because I just had it with them. I'm being serious. Walking triple-double, one of the 5 greatest offensive players who've ever lived, and I mean that, right? An incredible offensive player. A fat guy who chugs beers before the game who weighs 270 pounds. Am I trading Anthony Edwards for that? There's no way. I have Anthony Edwards who can play until he's 40.
Okay. But that's now, right? Because we're not talking about Zion. We're talking about a guy.
We're not talking about Zion, but it's not that far removed from Zion. It's a guy that doesn't care about basketball.
I think it's closer to, if you look at Luka's resume, and I don't mean his postseason resume, but I mean if you look at all NBAs and everything and what he's done, it's much more accomplished than Ant-Man. And what I'm saying is there's not 100%. That much of a difference in their age. And they might say, you know what, we're not sure which direction we want to go in. But what I'm saying is you could trade. He's so good that you could trade him. Or they could have done a Giannis deal. You know what I'm saying? They could have traded him straight up for Giannis. And what I'm saying is, there are superstars. Like, so for them not to get back, a younger superstar, because Anthony Davis is a superstar, but for them not to even get back a younger superstar or something, it's the compensation, or without getting more draft capital, it's ridiculous. And just the fact that John is saying Nico this and Nico that, it's like that's always a bad omen when we start to learn the GM's name from the trade he made, which may have not been good. It could be.
What's the thing, LBL?
I want to transition. Because we brought up Claxton. Lakers are going to need a big now. First, we're not going to spend time on yesterday's game, but I promise to do this every game, and I want to be a man of my word. Nick Claxton played 29 minutes, was a -2, and Day'Ron Sharpe played 17 minutes and was a +8. I'm going to do this every day until my point is made. I'm going to keep saying it out loud. Every single time Nick Claxton goes in the game, the Nets get worse. Every time he goes out and Sharpe goes in, the Nets get better. It's every single game. Now,
put Claxton on a Luka diet.
Maybe have Claxton hang out with Luka a little bit. But Claxton is available. The Lakers need a big. John, I know you've been working on this. We can come up with some salary matches. Rui was mentioned before. That I would imagine Rui would be a part of it. What do you got for us as far as Claxton to the Lakers? What could be worked out there?
Well, it's just interesting because if anybody was advocating for Claxton to the Lakers, it was this guy for like weeks and months ago. So now there's a realistic chance, like Pete said, that this could actually happen because they don't have a center. They have Jackson Hayes and Christian Wood. That's nothing right there. So if you think about it, I just did a trade on the trade machine. Rui, Gabe Vincent, and a 2031 first. At the end of the day, people might think that's horrible. Why we want 2 guys who are on 2-year contracts? Well, they will be expiring next year, so those are going to be salary off the books a year from now. But the 2031 pick, that could be a valuable trade chip for the Nets. At the end of the day, it's probably not going to be nothing with Luka if he's there long term, but it's a trade chip nonetheless. So if we have a chance to get more free cap space to get Claxton off the books to take on 2 contracts that are expiring next year, I don't think it's a bad move for Brooklyn. At the end of the day, we need cap space flexibility to plan our future big moves. And getting rid of Claxton any way we can, whether it gets us a pick or something, I'm up for it. So there's a realistic chance Claxton to the Lakers could happen if all the other options like a Valanciunas, Robert Williams are off the board. So let's see what happens. But that would be a deal right there on the table. Rui, Gabe Vincent, and a 2031 Lakers first. And that would probably be unprotected.
Let me bring this. I want to bring this to Pete, and I want to bring it to Dylan too. I want both of your takes on this. Claxton to the Lakers. We have our opinion on Claxton. Would the Lakers be interested in Claxton, and would they be willing to deal their last draft pick, the last first rounder, which is a 2031? Because then they would have no draft capital, right, Sean? They'd be all out of picks.
Pretty much. I mean, I think they have 2 swaps, but swaps are not as good as first round picks. So they have the 2031,
2030, and 2031. The only tradable pick is the 2031. The only things they'd be able to do with the 26 and 30 is swapping.
Okay. Right. So, Pete, Dylan, you guys weigh in on this. Is it realistic? Would the Lakers be interested in Claxton, and would that package work for both teams that John mentioned? Because I think that's the only package that's reasonable.
Go ahead, Dylan. You go first.
Yeah, so I spoke with some people last night after the trade happened because how do you not? The first thing that I got was the Lakers are going to pursue a big man. This has now been confirmed today. Jake Weinbach, Shams over on SportsCenter, Eric Slater, the whole 9 yards. Everybody's confirming this. One of the names that was mentioned is Nick Claxton. And like John said, Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, and his 2031 first. It works financially. I know that the Nets want Austin Reeves. I'm not sure if LA is going to be willing to get rid of that. But ultimately, Nick Claxton, as of right now, Nick Claxton is probably the number one target for the Lakers, from what I'm hearing. Right now, it sounds like him, Clint Capella, and Miles Turner. The problem is when you're looking at what they need now, they need defense and a lob threat. Nick Claxton fits both of those descriptions better than Clint Capella and Miles Turner does. So, like I said, if you're trading Rui and DFS is now your starting 4, he spaces the floor. You don't really need a 5 that spaces the floor. You need a guy that can play the pick and roll with Luka and LeBron. You need a guy who can defend. And Nick Claxton matches the description. Not to mention, the Nets aren't really in a position to help Claxton improve as a player in the next year or two. He has had a different point guard every year. He has digressed this season after getting a $100 million contract. I think it is quite obvious that if the Lakers approach them with Rui, Gabe Vincent, and a first, that it happens immediately. Not to mention as well, you're gaining back 2 guys who are on 2-year deals. Realistically, there's not a free agent out there this year that just screams throw the bank towards, right? You bring in 2 guys that you could potentially flip this offseason or next deadline, gain more assets, gain the financial cap space flexibility in 2026, which is the year that we're supposed to be going back into, a hopeful playoff contention. So I think that deal makes sense more than anything out there. It just depends on if the Lakers are willing to part with that first round pick.
Right. And can I just say this one thing
too?
Let
me get to Pete. Pete, I want your thoughts on is this something the Nets would be interested in? Does it make sense for the Lakers? Give me your thoughts on this from both the Nets and the Lakers perspective.
I think John made a good point that they have it's obvious that they needed to get a big, right? I don't think that's a secret. And I agree with Dylan that I think that would be something that the Nets would be interested in. I'd imagine at this point, if you could just get off the contract, that would be something that looks really good right now.
True.
And that first, like also what John said, it's probably not going to be that valuable considering that Doncic is now on the team. But I would do that deal, and I think they would probably do that deal.
Yeah, I think Reeves off the table.
Yeah, he's off the table, not for Claxton. But I would say this too. DFS, let's remember, he was one of Luka's best friends when they were in Dallas. Look at the connections again, not just between Nico and Pelinka, between DFS and Luka. So now you have Luka on that team. They probably want him to unlock DFS's 3-point shooting, which was good with Luka, was how he could dispense the ball. But now you need that extra sensor. I think Claxton just makes a lot of sense. Rim runner, lob threat, defense. And now you have 2 ball-dominant guys who are responsible for probably 60 to 70 to 80% of the offense. And all Claxton has to do is rebound and find his shot. So I think it's a great little marriage. And Claxton's under contract for 3 years. So if you already have Luka in your mind for a 4 or 5 year deal coming up, you'd want a center like Claxton under contract to line up with Luka. And if you want to flip Claxton eventually for even bigger asset, I think it just makes sense for all parties. So I hope this deal goes through because I think it's good for them and it's good for us as far as cap space flexibility goes. And that's why we should do the move. Forget about what we get back. We need the cap space flexibility, and Claxton right now is an anchor to that.
But
if you're the Lakers, though, do you give your last pick up for Claxton? I think that's the question.
That's yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, they can't go after Walker Kessler. So who's the next best guy?
Well, here's another scenario that you could potentially look into. Like I said, you can't. The Lakers' only tradable first is the 2031, right? I don't believe they have their 2027. Can somebody confirm that for me? I'll look it up too if you can't. Let's see.
Is there a world
as of right now, the Lakers have their 2026, 2028, 2029, 2030, and 2031. So they actually have. Well, the 29 just got traded. So, yeah, their only tradable pick as of right now is in 2031. Is there a world that they put a protection on that 2031 and the Nets send a 2025 first, specifically either the Knicks or the Rockets pick, to get the Lakers' 2026 pick within a Claxton deal? Like, that's something that I'd also be interested in, because not only are you now giving the Lakers an opportunity at drafting in the first round this year to help in terms of depth and young pieces to put around Luka, you're also moving away from 2026 draft to help Brooklyn with adding capital in that year's draft. I don't know. It's something that it's definitely going to be interesting. And it's specifically if they don't want to give up that 2031 unprotected, then it kind of gives them a better option, right? Say it's 2031 top 10 protected plus the 2026 pick unprotected for Claxton and the Knicks 2025 pick. Like there's a scenario there as well that could work for both sides.
Wait, Dylan, they don't have a pick in 2027. So that means if you do that swap of 25 and 26, they won't have a pick in 26 and 27. So that deal can't work.
That's okay. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so you know what? I mean,
yeah.
Let's see. If you're looking at what the Nets have in 2027, I mean,
we have 3 picks. Right?
I believe so. Yeah. So I mean, like there's a world where it can work, because also I think if I'm not mistaken, if they get a 2027 pick, that makes their 2028 pick potential. Oh wait, no, they don't have their 29. It would make their 2030 pick available for trade once the 32 pick comes. See, but they'd have more picks to swap is kind of the point, because they're not going to just be able to do Luka, LeBron, and Claxton. Like they're going to need to add some form of depth at some point as well.
I'm wondering, regardless of like how the Lakers retool for this season, like like maybe trying to bring in that big or something. But I'm also wondering if there's a scenario in which Luka actually doesn't even play again this year.
No, he's going to play. He's supposed to come back for the All-Star break.
Let me ask this question, because I want to get everyone's take in here. Is this when I first saw this trade? I said, okay, this is a trade now. For now, the Lakers think they with Bron and Luka they can win a chip, and then you really start to look at it. Is this a trade for the future? Is this a trade?
That's what I think it is.
Go ahead, Albert. I want to go around the panel. Albert, you go first.
I think it's post LeBron. Like I think that they may like if he can get himself back in shape, because if he's if he's like 40 pounds overweight or whatever he is, and they don't want to be jockeying for playoff position while they're waiting for him to get in shape and everything. They probably put him on one of those famous LA fat farms or something, say hell go lose the weight, then come back. But I think in terms of with him, I feel like it's a post LeBron thing, because now if it is true that LeBron's fingerprints aren't all over this trade and everything, and it could be that it's a signal to LeBron as well as we're not listening to you anymore. Everything isn't about you anymore. This is about next year when you're in your last year. And and that means that you could be out of here, and so that's what I think.
Let me follow up with it. Let me ask you: Is this the writing on the wall for LeBron that this is Luka's team now? We're moving forward with Luka, and LeBron, your time here is kind of up.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of when LeBron went to Miami, right? That was Wade's franchise. He had already brought them to won a finals, but he was coming towards the end of his career. This is very similar, where you're now bringing in Luka in the prime of his career at a young age to put alongside LeBron, who's starting to get older and on his way out. I could definitely see it as that.
It's not the same to me, because he's like maybe 2 years. He's about 3 years older than LeBron, but Wade and him, they came in the same rookie year. So Wade still had plenty of game left. He did have to defer to LeBron because they wanted to unlock LeBron, the best LeBron they could have. But I don't see it as similar because you're talking about a 25-year-old and a 40-year-old. That's a big difference.
Maybe the comparison's not more so the age; it's more so just the style of play and the ascension compared to the digression of the style of plays, right? Like LeBron at the age of 40 hasn't digressed. He's still putting up 24, 8, and 8, right? Like he's not a bad player whatsoever. He's still an all-star and all-NBA caliber player. You're pairing that now with a guy who's averaging 39 and 10. That's insane. Like it's genuinely going to be very scary if the Lakers can figure it out and put the right pieces around him, but it starts with a big man. And as I said, based on two people that I've spoken with over the last 12 hours, Nick Claxton seems to be the name that's getting thrown out there the most.
Is Sean Marks awake? Is he answering his phone? Does he have his phone on silent? Because look, I hate, and I always talk about Danny Ainge, but Danny Ainge is doing his job. He's making moves. He's getting. He's getting.
Yeah, Danny.
Why can't Sean Marks? Why can't Marks do this? Like Marks, like Cam Johnson is still here. Nick Claxton. The Lakers need to get it done. Like, why?
And we have to look at. Don't we have to also consider, because obviously we're net centric, but don't we also have to look at what other teams might be jockeying to see what they can get out of this too? Like like the team that has Valanciunas, the other team that has some of these other bigs who are.
I don't think they fit though. That's the difference. They need defense and a lot.
Okay.
I think that's what it is.
That's why, like, the three names that have been mentioned the most with the Lakers now is Capella, Turner, Vucevic, and Claxton.
Turner is on the last year of a deal, right?
Yeah. So, like, when you're looking at not having to worry about bringing the player back while also being able to pay Luka, while also giving Luka and LeBron the best fit possible, they just got rid of the second best defender in basketball currently. You need to add defense and a guy who could play within the pick and roll. Miles Turner, athletic, but not gifted defensively. Clint Capella, very average at best in every department. And Vucevic, not
Turner is a shot blocker, though. But Turner is a shot blocker.
Turner's a shot blocker, but he can't play the perimeter the way that Claxton does. And with moving away from Anthony Davis, who could play the 1 through 5 defensively, you have to find a way to replace that. Like there is no better fit, and like from a non-biased standpoint, there is no better fit than Nick Claxton playing alongside Luka Doncic. Like he's probably one of the 5 players that you could put alongside him, and Claxton will ascend.
It will. It's a good fit, and like I've been saying, we need to trade Claxton sooner rather than later, before the rest of the world sees what we see and see all his warts, and that he's not really he's not a good rebounder. He's not. He can't go. He can't defend the post. So they say he can guard 1 to 5. No, he can't. He can't guard 5s. I actually think he's a good wing defender, but I think he's a little bit overrated. I do. Like I just don't think there's anything really like great about him. And before the rest of the world picks up on that, let's move him.
Right. And just to answer your question, this was clearly in line with getting outside of the LeBron James business. Remember, at the beginning of the season, he wanted this to be with his son as some type of father-son comedy, whatever. And at the end of the day, Lakers are a business. They bring championships, they bring wins. That's what they're known for. They're not known for rebuilding process bullshit that teams like 76ers do and fail at. They're known for winning titles. So at the end of the day, this move was clearly made without LeBron's knowledge that they're ready to move on for him, whether that's after this season or even sooner. But from what Chris Haynes said today, LeBron is set right now on staying with the Lakers and seeing what they could do with Luka. But clearly, this was done in line to get out of the LeBron James business. And at the end of the day, the guy's 40. At the end is near for him. And so the Lakers, they just got away with one of the biggest heists of the century. I don't even have to give up much. Anthony Davis, at the end of the day, he wanted to be a power forward, and he's a center. So that wasn't going to work out with the Lakers long term. But now they need defense badly. And if we could get Claxton off our books, the financial cap space for us should be so great that we'll have the next 2 to 3 years to plan out exactly who and when we should get to build around our team with, as far as going outside of who we draft. So getting rid of Claxton will do us loads of favors right now, but it has to be done. Sean Marks, you have 2 golden opportunities, not just with Claxton, but Cam Johnson. Let's look at OKC, Memphis, and Houston. They just made this big move for Luka to pair with James. What are these 3 teams going to do right now? Are you going to stay with what you got, or are you going to try to make a winning piece move here or there? I'm specifically looking at OKC because if you're facing LeBron and Luka in a first or second round, Shea as your number one is not going to get it done by himself. And you have bench pieces right now not doing anything in the Kenrich Williams and
Wow.
Ousmane Dieng. So are they just going to stay fine and hope that they can win another title with no superstar? The time is now. And same with Memphis. What are
But
they
that's
going to do?
But that's if the Lakers get that center. If the Lakers don't get that interior presence,
Right.
then OKC's not scared of them at all.
Well,
They'll
what
just
if they do is the
run them off
question.
the
That's the
court.
thing, LBL. Then it could change on a dime again.
But does Claxton put the Lakers over the top over OKC?
I
I'm
don't
not too
think so.
inclined to say that. I don't know.
No, it's a fair
It's
question.
difficult because Claxton, I mean, Chet's one of those few guys that isn't like insanely good offensively, but is still also hard to guard. If there's a player out there that's lengthy enough that could potentially guard him, I would think it's Claxton. Like Claxton is a better defender in terms of the 1 through 4. Chet has the body of a 3 or a 4, right? So I think Claxton could match up very well with Chet. It's Hartenstein though that could probably do more.
I think we also have to consider by committee. You know, like the Lakers might want center by committee, so maybe we may have to give them Dayron too or something, depending on what they're offering us. Because in the West, when they get ready to play someone like Denver, man, they need bodies, man, to go against Joker, man. You know, Claxton doesn't get it.
Does anyone think that this? Well, let me ask you this question. This trade, like I said, affects the Nets in two ways. I believe it gets them closer to moving Claxton, and what we haven't talked about yet, the Nets own the Mavericks pick in 2029, and
No, we traded it. We traded that. We traded that a part of the. We traded that a part of the Rockets
partially
deal.
swapped. It's partially swapped.
Yeah, we got the least favorable.
Houston gets like 2 out of the 3 like top picks or something like that. So if that's a
Nice
good
one,
thing, it's not gonna
Sean.
go there.
Nice one, Sean. Big moves.
What is it now? Now it's part of the swap. It's the least favorable with who?
Let me check the full description.
With Houston, I believe.
Crazy. And
I mean, you don't know
if
what the
people
league's
want
gonna
us to
look
praise Sean Marks, get out of here.
You don't know
Get
what
out
the
of here
league's
with
gonna look like.
But we didn't know that. I mean, they had Luka back then, right? Like
Here,
we
here's
wouldn't
the
know
full
if you got
description.
stupid to make this trade.
Here's the full description. Brooklyn receives their own 2025 and 2026 first-round picks back. The Rockets receive a 2025 right to swap their own first-round pick or the Thunder's first-round pick for Phoenix's. Their 2027, they got the 2027 Suns pick, and they also have the right to swap the 2 most favorable between the Mavs, Suns, and Rockets first-round picks in 2029. So pretty much Brooklyn's getting the least favorable, or their own.
Correct.
This is exactly why I'm saying, though, you can't blame Marks for making the trade, but you have to blame him for not fucking tanking properly. Why are we at the 6th spot right now when we should be a bottom 3 team in basketball? Why is Cam Johnson still on the roster? Why are we not trying to lose more?
Let me address that, right? Cam Thomas didn't play. Cam Johnson didn't play. Noah Clowney didn't. How else? What other ways?
Why did D'Lo play the whole? Why did D'Lo play majority of the game when in the games that we were purposely losing, he wasn't playing in the 4th quarter? Like there's clear signs that it's like they take this shit seriously one day and then the next day they fuck it up. Cam Johnson should be traded. That would morality wise, that would ruin.
He should have been traded before the season started. Honestly,
some would say D'Lo should be bought out, and then let's bring in Killian Hayes.
Ben's probably going to be bought out. Ben's probably going to be bought out.
Both of them should be bought out.
They should. Bojan Bogdanovic, Ben, and D'Lo buyouts. Bring up Drew Timmy, Killian Hayes, and you probably get 2 players in a Claxton deal. That fills the roster.
Exactly.
Like this isn't. It's not difficult to suck ass at the game of basketball. It's really not.
You're playing Keon Johnson, Walmart, and Jalen Wilson. And you're complaining that you're not taking cards. Look at the guys. They made a bunch of shots yesterday. Like, I mean,
if you were serious about tanking, you would maximize the value of the draft capital that you could have. Maybe the product on the floor doesn't do the job as well, but you would at least have future draft capital that you know could possibly land that could possibly hit. Like, we're not even putting ourselves in a position to maximize our draft capital while losing.
Yes,
we're just we're stuck in the middle of both. We're
Gary-
fucking up a tank, and we're fucking up the assets that we can get in return for these guys.
That's
Nick
what happens
Claxton,
when you have
Cam
Coach
Johnson,
Jordy, a
John.
guy who doesn't want to tank.
Gary,
That's the problem. You have a coach that doesn't want to tank.
Gary, this
That's
was one of the biggest arguments last night before the trade hit, because we had Podthorn on, and John Podthorn, myself, and maybe someone else like LM were saying,
Yep.
we gotta be top, top worst 3. And everyone else was saying, oh no, it's okay if we pick 6th or 7th or 8th. And we were saying the difference between getting one of these top 3 guys and getting the other guys is a major difference in
Huge
player.
difference.
Yeah. And that's
Huge.
why that's what it's about. It's about, we can't leave anything to chance. And
So just forfeit the games then moving forward, right? Just inform the league that you're not.
I'm all
playing.
for it. I'm all.
Okay.
I don't give
Because
a
I
shit.
mean, other than that, you can't play. You can't. The lineup the Nets put out every day is the single worst starting 5 in basketball.
But
I don't know what else you want to do.
The point.
But-
hold on. The point is that it could be the worst starting 5 in basketball right now, but the first month of the season you won fucking 10 games. That should not have happened. We wouldn't be in this position if they did not start off the season with Cam fucking Johnson and Dennis Schroeder. It would not have happened. That alone, that alone is Sean Marks' fault.
It was a half-assed tank from the beginning.
That's my point. It may not be right now that we're messing it up, but we already messed it up in the beginning.
Yeah.
Cam Johnson and Dennis Schroeder should not have been on the roster. That's on Sean Marks. If you were going to half-ass this thing, you could have kept the fucking Suns picks and had more valuable picks than bringing back this year and next year's of our own. Because right now the Suns pick is only 5 or 6 slots ahead of us. If you really want to test out the lottery that badly, fuck around and do that. But don't get your own picks back if you're going to fuck it up.
And Gary, part of the alarming thing is when we're going back and forth, as you know, like we're arguing different points of this. Like a lot of the people on Breezy's thing yesterday, it's like the more we win, I'm not saying that Marx is thinking this, even though we don't know what the influence is, but they actually think that, like 4 or 5 of these guys are salvageable. And it's like that let's not get this guy because we already have Zaire Williams. Let's not get this guy because we already have Keon Johnson. And it's like these guys, it's like, I understand what you're saying, Gary. You're trying, they're professional players, they're trying to win. But a lot of our fans really think that these guys, let's move forward with Jalen Wilson. I'm saying these guys.
I get it. Without moving forward, like we talked about this on a previous show, the only guy that we think is definitely going to be on the roster 3 years from now is Noah Clowney, right?
Yeah.
Like that's it. Everyone else is probably going to be long gone. The only other guy maybe I could see being on the roster is Claxton because you can't get rid of his contract.
Yeah.
But maybe now we can. Maybe now we can.
What if Marks kind of is thinking like these guys?
You know what's mind-boggling to me personally is the fact that it seems Jordy has more power than he should. Because look what Sean Marks said. I don't look at it as I'm the boss and they're my employees. It's a partnership. I value their input and what they want. Well, Jordy said, let's win 10 games. And look where we're at right now. Look what happened with just this bombshell trade. Did Nico talk to his coach staff say, do you guys want to trade Luka for Anthony Davis? No, he made the damn deal with his best friend. And Rob Pelinka. He didn't ask for their input. Sean Marks' problem is he needs to be everybody's friend, wants everybody's support and what has to happen. No, the goal was to get a top 3 pick any way possible, and Marks can't even do that right. But people on other shows want to say, hey, it's all part of the plan. We're going to get top 3 because we're the 4th richest franchise, and all these other bottom feeders aren't going to get a shot at them. You don't know that. They could get these top guys. We could get 5th to 6th, and people are happy with that. I'm not going to be happy with that personally because we had our own pick. We made the deal trading all those valuable Suns picks because we wanted a prospect to lead this new way forward. We might not even get that chance because Sean Marks believes in friendship and everybody's support over making the right business decisions. He's not a businessman, and that is a huge philosophical issue.
Has anyone seen the reaction of or heard of a reaction of from Dirk Nowitzki? I'd be curious.
He did an emoji. That's what I saw.
I saw an emoji, like a shocked emoji, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be interested in that.
By the
I
way,
just
Gary
think that-
officially hit 200 subs.
Yes, thank you guys.
Let's
Please smash the like
go!
button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe now. Appreciate everyone. Appreciate the support. Please smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I just think some of this talk about Anthony Davis is blasphemous. Like, he's one of the most complete big men to ever play, and people are talking about him like they got a role player. It's like, you guys understand that Anthony Davis is a generational talent? Like, he's basically, and I understand he gets hurt and he misses a bunch of game, and sometimes you can question his intensity, but from a skill perspective, he's basically Kevin Garnett. Like, I mean, do you guys understand? Like,
Yeah. It's the draft compensation that didn't come with them.
yeah,
because
they don't. The Lakers don't have it though, right? They just like they
So
can't
that's
give.
what they're saying. They're not saying that.
I mean, they weren't even able to get 2 firsts. They had 2 tradable
that's
firsts. They
kind
got
of-
Well, let me
1.
ask you this, Gary. Do you think it would have been possible to trade, like who do you think is better, Davis or Giannis?
Giannis.
Do you think it
Giannis.
would have been possible for them to make this trade for Giannis?
Supposedly, that's actually the team that they went and called first.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Except for they don't have any compensation either, right?
Right.
I mean,
They only got
other than
Giannis.
Giannis is
But that's the
enough.
thing, though. Would you rather Giannis in a first or Anthony Davis in a first? Like, give me fucking
I'd
Giannis.
probably want Giannis.
Yeah,
Giannis is more consistent in playing wise, you know.
the salaries are going to be tough to match there because he's making $60 million already, right? Like, what is?
No, I don't
You know
think so yet.
Let me see what he's.
Here, I'll
But
look it up right now.
that's what's kind of weird, you know. That's what's kind of weird. It's like, man, you probably could have gotten, you know. I mean, you know, there aren't like a handful.
No, he's only
of
making
players.
48. You're right. He's making
Yeah,
48
there's only
right now.
a handful of players that are better than Anthony Davis, but Giannis happens to be one of them.
Yeah. If you could have made that trade, Luka for Giannis. I mean, think about what I'm saying. That's like going back and saying, let's trade Tom Brady for Peyton Manning. It's like, whoa, right? Like, what
Yeah.
what
Oh,
are we doing here? Yeah, that would have been a better trade. I guess that would have worked for everybody. But I don't know what Milwaukee's position is on Giannis. I mean, I know Giannis has suggested he wants a trade, but is Milwaukee open to that? I don't know. I mean, I guess if you get the opportunity to bring in Luka, I guess you just have to make it, right?
Yeah, I think Anthony Davis will be happy though, because no state tax in Texas.
Got
Well,
that right.
that he gets to be a power forward because they have Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. So now they have 3 bigs on that team, and you have Kyrie Irving. If you can't make a soup out of that, I don't know why they made the move in the first place. But at the end of the day, he's 30. Kyrie's in his 30s, and 2 3 years they're going to be middle-aged 35 players. So your window is that small right now. You either win this year or next year, or this is one of the worst trades in history. Clearly, at the end of the day, listen, Davis, one of the top best bigs in the league. But he's not a superstar generational player like a Luka could be. And I think that's what people will realize if Mavs don't win.
Who isn't? You know what? Anthony Davis, it's been the injuries, but he is a generational player. If we get a guy, if we draft a guy in 25 or 26 that has Anthony Davis's career, I will be ecstatic.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is a Hall of Famer. He's a generation guy.
Let me
If you draft an AD type player, you're probably gaining the best player in Nets history.
That's what I'm saying.
Let me bring in Breezy. I got Breezy. Breezy wants to get in. I know he wants to cook us right now. What did we get wrong, Breezy? And do a little commercial for your show too.
Thank you. Y'all can find me at Big Fan Breezy on YouTube or Twitter or maybe in the chat, you know what I'm saying, on this channel. And I'm not necessarily disagreeing with everything. I only heard what I heard. I heard LBL putting stains on my jacket. And I gotta say, on my page, it's 10 fans, bro. It'd be a full panel, and I don't want to get misconstrued what I say, what other fans say. My platform isn't one where you have to agree with me to be there. You could totally have a different perspective, and you could say trade Cam Thomas, which is against the law on my page, and you could still come to my page. You know what I'm saying? So I'm right. So I'm saying all that to say, I don't think that 5 players. I don't think that. I don't think we taking 5 players the next season. I think Cam Thomas, Clowney, and Zion Williams. Everybody else tradable. I like Jalen Wilson, but if y'all putting me on the spot and ask me, is he tradable or not tradable? I'm gonna say trade him. Or he's tradable. But the 3-player development players that I would love to see develop is Zaire Williams, Cam Thomas, and Noah Clowney. So I just wanted to clear that up immediately. Secondly, I wanted to say thank you to Dylan, because we didn't know about the Luka AD trade until he jumped in the chat. I was trying to get him on a panel last night, but it was a full panel, so I couldn't do it. So I wanted to say good looking. I thought he was trolling. It was so unbelievable.
I saw the news. I was on the game with a couple of friends, and I go to you guys because I saw that you were still live. So I'm assuming you're already talking about it, and I'm listening for like a minute or two, and not a single one of you were talking about it. So I'm like, dude, do they not know? So I just started spamming the chat with it. Seeing your guys' reaction because you all go to Twitter was insane.
We was all ecstatic. Oh yeah, and another thing LBL said about the whole thing with us winning. And again, the significance of I'm not saying last night, but the significant thing about us winning early was for Sean Marks to prove to the fans that I didn't drop the ball and get in a good coach this time. He dropped the ball with Steve Nash. He dropped the ball with Josh Vaughn. And we knew that Kevin Ollie wasn't going to be our championship contending coach. He went out, got Jordy Fernandez, hence the 13 wins at the time. Since we've been on since we got the 13 wins, we traded Schroeder, DFS, and we did a bunch of other. We made moves. You know what I'm saying? So I for one,
I'm cool with you proving yourself as a GM and hiring. Save that shit for 2 years.
Exactly.
If there was ever a time for you to not do well at something that you have been miserably horrible at for the last couple of years, it was the next 2 years. Like this shit could have waited.
Dylan, how many wins do you expect this team to get in 82 games?
Under 23. Under 23 this year, under 25 next year.
All right, so hold on, because Dylan, I remember having this conversation with Dylan prior, and basically the way we were winning when Schroeder and Cam Thomas was in the back court was a trajectory of us winning over 23 games. Now, we both know, Dylan, that ain't the trajectory now. You know what I'm saying? Our trajectory got way lower. We went in maybe, what was it, John? 3 out of 7. 10 out of 10 games was 3 out of 7, and that was last night. But I think we more of a 2 out of 8 or 1 out of 9 winning ball club out of 10 games. More of that. What you feel about that, Dylan? Do you think that we're going to continue to win 3 out of 7 in 10 games, or 3 out of 10?
Game 50, so we have 32 games left. As of right now, you pretty much need to go 1-8 out of the next 32 games if you really want a shot at a top 3 pick. Because right now, just looking at the stand, 1-8, like one out of every 9 games, you need to go 1-8.
Okay.
As of right now, we are a game and a half outside of the 5th pick. We are 2.5 games outside of the 3rd pick, and we are 4 games outside of the out of the 2nd pick. We were 2 games back on the 2nd pick before our last 2 wins. And if we would have just lost, I understood beating the Hornets, potentially Mark Williams was out. But when you're playing the Rockets, there's no reason for you to have guys going out there trying their fullest, especially on a day that the Wizards and the Jazz win. Because if we would have lost and the Jazz would have won, we would have been a game and a half inside of the top 2 pick. So there's a real problem with how they're trying to do this, and whether guys who are costing us wins aren't playing or not. This all started because of the beginning of the season. If the first month and a half went the way that the last 2 months have gone, we would have been a bottom 3 team with ease. But instead, now we're trying to fight and push back, trying to get to a point where we can even get close to that. And it's not going to happen. DeJounte Murray blows his Achilles. Zion Williamson, fat as fuck. Brandon Ingram, not going to be on the team much longer. They're not going to get ahead of us.
Hold on, Dylan.
Miller's out for the season. They're not getting ahead of us.
Dylan, let me ask you this though, and I'm not saying that it's rigged. I'm just saying, why should the NBA keep going to Washington, keep going to the New Orleans Pelicans? They keep getting these high draft picks and not doing anything, not having no championship success in the modern NBA. They got.
I don't think. Hold on. Yeah,
whoa. You don't think they did, but I only mentioned it because you said something about DeJounte Murray.
I think right now the Jazz, Hornets, and Nets are probably the likely top 3 teams. But
that's what I'm saying.
But realistically, though, right? Charlotte, You have a kid at Duke in North Carolina becoming a superstar and a huge buzz in that state. You don't think the league's going to want to give flag to Charlotte, who's a young piece away from having a similar young core to the Rockets did 4 years ago?
Let me address
No,
that.
flag to Charlotte is possible.
Utah,
Yeah.
Utah has Danny Ainge, who is an incredible team builder. You don't think they're going to want to build up that value there?
That's the
Brooklyn's
one I'm
fucking
saying.
Guys,
everything
let Gary
up.
address. Let Gary address it. Let Gary address.
But the Charlotte thing, no, Charlotte is such a horrible franchise. They're so bad. Like, I can send Cooper Flag there, and then I'm sending him to purgatory forever, right? Like, I don't think
I
the
mean,
NBA
not
wants.
if you keep LaMelo. Like realistically, like LaMelo, Brandon Miller, Cooper Flag, and Mark Williams is immediately what the Pistons are this year.
I picked
Immediately.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
I picked
I gotta
Charlotte to
agree
make
with
the
Dylan.
play.
Yeah.
I picked Charlotte to make the play in this year, if not the playoff.
I did too.
Right? So they'll at least be a play-in. Look at, like, I don't know, man. Charlotte is like, they're a horrible, miserable franchise. They're one step away from being Washington. Like, they're really bad. Like, no one here in the sound of my voice thinks that Cooper Flag's going to Washington, right? Why not?
No.
No,
Because
I
they're
don't
sending
think
them to hell if they do, and they don't want to send this guy, the guy that's going to save American basketball, to hell. So I don't view Charlotte that much differently than I view Washington. Like, I think he's going to.
I think Charlotte isn't is a. I mean, just the state of North Carolina itself is one of the biggest moved into cities as of right now. Games are they're still selling tickets there in Charlotte. I was just there. No Mark Williams, no LaMelo Ball, no Brandon Miller, and they still had a packed house. Like,
wow.
Charlotte's a beautiful city.
Charlotte, no, it is.
It's a beautiful city. It's on the rise. You have 3 great young players right now if they can stay healthy. Adding the guy who's building back Duke after Coach K left, you're telling me that they're not going to want to put him and keep him in North Carolina? That is a perfect
No,
fit.
I'm with you. I'm actually with Dylan on that. I do think, and I didn't think of that until he mentioned it. Yeah, Cooper might go to Charlotte. That's some real shit.
The bigger storyline is Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey in Brooklyn.
Yeah, but one of the problems that he keeps talking about when we're talking about winning too much early is when you really look at what was the compensation we got for those veterans. Was it really worth those wins? It wasn't worth the wins to get some second round picks.
That could have been done during the offseason before the season began, and we could have been where we are right now.
Exactly.
But 7 less wins
for that and been horrible. So that's what I'm saying. That's epic
where I place the blame on Marks. Yeah, that's where we place the blame on Marks. It's not
Breezy, my question.
Breezy,
my question to you is: does Coach Jordy have too much power? Because you said that the coach is responsible for helping make some important decisions with the players, but it seems like Jordy now has this autonomy where he could decide on any given night whether we should win games, and it's just the manager is the boss for a reason to make sure we have a set game plan. And Jordy seems like he's gone against any type of plan we have. Like, Breezy, do you think that's a eventual problem? Because I don't want to believe in a rigged system as getting us a top pick. I believe we do the work to get ourselves to be bottom 3, and we let the dominoes fall that we may because we put ourselves in that position. But to say that it doesn't matter what wins we get, what losses we get, we're going to get a top pick, I can't believe in that. But do you think Jordy has too much power? Because I think he does, and I think that could be a problem for us if the coach has that much power over GM.
Nah, to again, me and Dylan, we spoke on this prior, and basically who was calling the shots in the draft was Jeff Peterson, who's now in Charlotte. So he needs someone like Jordy Fernandez to help him draft, in my opinion. But to answer your question, when you look at who exactly has the draft capital, everybody don't have their own draft pick, bro. When you look at and to be more specific to your question, no, I don't think that Jordy has too much power. I think that Sean Marks is employing Jordy to help him with the draft is important. And the difference between Jordy and, let's say, a Nick Nurse, when Nick Nurse became a head coach the first time, they was contending for a championship. And that was the understanding for Toronto Raptors. When Jordy got on board this first season, he knew damn well that we wasn't contending for no championship. I don't think that we are coloring out the lines. I do think that we are on a trajectory to get a top 3 pick. But again, with it being a lottery, it's hard to prove it to you guys. But I don't think that Jordy has too much power. I think that he's a first-year head coach. How much power could he actually have, John? You know what I'm saying? He's
10 games.
First year.
The 10 games that we won. He allowed the vets to win all those games, and then we trade him for scraps. And to LBL's point, was it worth it to win those 10 games? I don't think it was. I think we're playing with fire. I think Sean
that's
Marks
not
believes he has
Jordy's fault.
1,000
That's
cat
Mark's
lives,
fault.
and he could screw up how many times? It's not going to amount to anything. But Breezy, if he did this on Boston, Lakers with the Big Three, Sean Marks wouldn't have a job right now. But now he has a job unlimitedly on this team, no matter what he does, and that's the worry. We don't want to keep screwing up to screw up. We eventually want to make the right moves and not have to go backwards. But it seems like we're testing fate right now, winning these extra games, and I feel like, why are we doing that? We don't have to do that, but Jordy believes in a system of a program.
I don't know how you can tank. The Nets are 3-12 in their last 15.
Thank you.
They're not playing Cam. I don't think Cam Thomas is going to play again this season. I really don't. I don't think Cam Johnson's ever going to play as a Net again.
I hope
don't know
not.
how you want them to tank harder. Like, they won a game because Houston couldn't make a shot. They scored 89 points. Like, they had a horrible day. Like, I don't know how you, at this point, what's done is done. They didn't trade Cam Johnson and DFS in the offseason. They won a bunch of games early. Cam Johnson, for reasons I'll never understand, is still on this roster and may finish the season on the roster. I don't understand why, but he is.
But that's why we're blaming Marks for that. Like,
Agreed.
we're not blaming Marks for the wins in the last month. We're blaming him for getting us into this position of a hole that we're in, where we're now fighting for a top 5 pick rather than a top 2 pick. This team on paper, when you have fucking Tucson, whatever the fuck this guy's last name is, and Keon Johnson as a starter, and you are in the 6th position behind teams like Charlotte, Utah, Toronto, you're doing something wrong. And you did it wrong in the first month and a half of the season.
And also the injuries that some of these teams had forced them into a competitive tank.
Whereas, see, that's the thing, though. Our best player is hurt. Yet we still have 2 guys on this team that should not be on the team in Cam Johnson and Nick Claxton.
Exactly.
DFS and Cam Johnson were supposed to be dealt on draft night. Dennis Schroeder was supposed to be the only veteran on this team, which, again, maybe he wins 2 of the first 10 games that we actually won this season, but we would have not been anywhere near as good as we were the first month and a half of the season. So, again, that could have been the guy that you hold on to trade at the deadline when you're 25 games below 500. But instead, we were a dead even 500 team at 10-10. Like, what the fuck are you doing? They should have been gone. You should have had 1 veteran on this team, not 3. And now you had Cam Thomas putting up 25 winning games as well, closing games. He's hurt. Why is Cam Johnson still on the roster? You've already fucked up your value there. Luka Doncic just got 1 first-round pick. 1 first-round pick. Brandon Ingram and Jimmy Butler are wings that still need to be dealt. Cam Johnson's going to get us dick because he waited too fucking long.
I agreed. Let me get in on this, right? I said this in the beginning of the season that it was a half-ass tank, that you had to have Cam Johnson and DFS off the team before the season started, right? Just to start 0-10 and let that be known that this is what we're doing this year. But you guys keep saying, like, we're going to rebuild quickly, we're going to get the draft picks right, and then we're going to Breezy dropped off.
Well, now I have no faith in the draft. Like, they're going to fuck this up, and they're going to have to accelerate.
And Sean Marks to build a roster.
They're going to accelerate this shit. We don't
have Danny Ainge.
Yeah, they're going to go accelerate this shit and fuck it up. I'm tired of getting my hopes up with this stupid shit. I have sat here as a fan for 23 years, and I have witnessed not a single finals that I can remember because I was 1, and I have not witnessed a single drafted pick that's actually turned out to be well. Or a top 3 pick, as a matter of fact, because the Nets traded their only top 3 pick in the last 20 years since I've been alive, right? 23 years old, Kenyon Martin was drafted, 2 years before me at number 1? So since then, the only top 5 pick I've seen is Derek fucking Favors, and he didn't play.
He makes me feel so old. Kenyon Martin was drafted when I was a senior in high school. It was before Dylan was born. Every time I talk to Dylan, I feel like 100 years old.
Right? Kenyon Martin was 98, right?
2000.
No. 2000.
Okay, so the year before I was born. That's my fucking point. How is it that the best player in the top 3 that we've drafted is Derek fucking Favors, and he didn't play a game with us?
What's crazy is Kenyon's on Gil's Arena, and he's on there, a retired player with gray in his beard, and you know that's how old that is. That's how
like
old
that's my point. Like how much longer are they going to fuck things up? It's so like we are literally the Jets and the Browns of the NBA.
Probably.
You know what the problem is, Dylan? we keep going back into the past. We kept bringing Spencer, D'Lo, Johnson still on this team. Like, why are we staying in
That's
the
what I'm
past? Now,
saying.
Ben Simmons,
At this
one of the
point, if
worst
I'm a
trades of
betting
all
man,
time.
Cam Johnson
Like,
is
I
cash.
want us to start this new era without the past. I want all new guys on this team that we have no connection to, whether that was a good deal or a horrible, shitty deal. And a lot of them were horrible deals, but there's still work to be done with 4 days to go. You still got Bogdanovich, you still got Ben Simmons, you still got Cam Johnson, Claxton. We got to find a way to get that done. And then there are other bench pieces. Maybe flip a Watford for a second pick. Like, there are guys on this team that are not giving us any real type of future. And Sean Marks is content saying, "Oh, Dennis and Doe is all we need to do." No, it's not. Like, you have a golden opportunity after this Luka monster trade with Anthony Davis. The Lakers need a center. OKC, Memphis Rockets. One of them needs Cam Johnson. Get the deals done. You just got more opportunities. But you're going to sit there with your hands folded and say, "Oh, we're just going to let the dice roll where they
John, let
fall."
LBL get John, let LBL get
Gary,
in.
let me ask: would you say it would be? I hope you're in agreement with this. That what should happen now is we should buy out Ben and D'Lo, and that would give us a greater chance to continue a downward spiral. Without those two veteran professional point guards, that will, not that, they're making that big a difference, but imagine not having them and just having youth. That would send us quicker down the cellar. So I'm
So
saying
you want to buy out? You don't want any veterans on the team. You don't want any veteran on the team.
I
No.
want both of them gone. The only
I
veteran
want
we'll have
Bogdanovich.
is
I want all of them gone.
the only one we'll have is
What do I need a veteran
Cam
for?
Thomas and Clowney.
Like, what do I need a veteran for at this point? Jordy's the veteran. Jordy's the one coaching. I don't need some old fuck who can put up 20 points a game or a guy that plays all defensive defense fucking up my team's losses during a tanking year. I don't need it anymore.
Yeah,
Get rid of the entire fucking roster.
They gotta go.
I could care. I could not care less if
It's
any of these guys
$40 million we're wasting, and for D'Lo, it's another $18 million we're wasting. We might as well let them go. Let them sign with whoever. Ben will probably sign with the Lakers. Who knows? And just let them go.
That'd be wild.
I've been talking about. I said send Ben Simmons home before the season started. Just send him home, get him out of here. I've been with that all. D'Lo, fine. Again, like, it's why would D'Lo agree to he's a horrible postseason player.
The reason
why would he agree to a buyout when no one's going to pick him up because he's a horrible postseason player?
I think someone will pick him up because if we give him most of his money or all of his money, somebody will sign him for the vet minimum, and he'll go because he has an incentive to showcase himself to look good in limited time that he needs on a better team than us. So all right,
let me ask you this, because I'm going to put. I don't think it's as easy as what playoff team, like what team do you think would extend even a vet minimum contract to D'Lo at this point on the season, knowing he's a horrible postseason player?
I'd have to look at the standings. I'd have to look at the standings and see who is near there. Maybe Detroit.
All right, okay. I can
they're
give you
young.
that one of those borderline
he's a
teams
veteran.
trying to.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'd have to see. I think it would be like a team with younger guys that might want them on there and that could use another ball handler, because the problem with us, like in our Sean Marks era, was a lot of times when we would lose games or we'd win by the skin of our teeth, it was because for some reason Sean Marks doesn't believe in ball handlers, and we'd only have like two ball handlers out of 12 guys.
It's like he's never seen basketball before.
Yeah, so
he doesn't understand how to construct a roster. He can't get a 7-foot center. He doesn't believe in ball handlers. But Ben Simmons, for some reason, is important to sell tickets and gossip. Like, I'm over it. When he said, "Oh, we should win regardless of what the front office wants," get him out of here. This guy's now pandering to Philly fans, saying he loves them. Didn't he just say like 2 years ago he hates them, that they were a part of why he got emotionally damaged? Now he's saying respect the fans. But then he says, "Oh, the fans are too loud to me. I can't concentrate." Does this guy not know what he signed up for when he became a basketball player? Fans are a part of the business. Like, what the heck are we talking about here?
Is Philly still tanking?
Who knows? They're a mess.
They won a couple of games, didn't they? I don't know what Philly's doing. They're a mess.
There, oh my gosh.
Because I
Joel
think-
Embiid's probably going, I'm next. And B's like, I'm next. Trade me. Anybody want me? Like, this is nuts. This is
Nobody
nuts.
wants that
Me,
fat fuck.
me and DJ talked about that before the season started. That they should trade Embiid for a hole and build around Maxey. I know you like that hole is ever shrinking. Yeah, 19,
Yeah, I
20.
think they had to do that before he signed this new contract, though, because now who's gonna pay that money?
Yeah. Philly is tanking. They're 19 and 20. I guess. I mean, they're gonna have trouble tanking. They already got 19 wins. They're already like 4 games better than us.
And I think they have to be. I think they have a protected pick going somewhere else. So I think they only keep their pick if it's like top 6 or something like that.
Yeah, that top 6 protected from OKC. And the other things, we still got the Jimmy Butler and De'Aaron Fox stuff to sort through. So it's like we have golden opportunities now with the Lakers needing a center. I think Memphis, we all agree, they got to do something. I think they're the one team that's in the most danger after this Luka-LeBron combination because they have Ja, but they have so many young pieces on that team that could get easily snuffed by 2 experienced all-around scorers. So they should want to get Cam Johnson and Day'Ron Sharpe right now. Let's get a deal done. Marcus Smart a pick. Goodbye. Vios Candios. Like, we got to move forward here. But Sean Marks is now waiting again. Like, there better be something getting done
He's
next 2 days.
not going to get better compensation than what you said, than Marcus Smart and a
2026 first. Like, there we go. We're good. We're set. But he wants 2 firsts.
I would do that now in a heartbeat.
Luka got traded for 1 first. Guys, Luka got traded for 1 first, and you want 2 for Cam Johnson. Get the first and move forward.
Hang on, John. I gotta push. He got traded for Luka, and he got traded for 1 first rounder and one of the greatest big men to ever
Injury prone, Gary. He's injury prone. All it takes is one twisted ankle, and it's screwed.
Hang on, Luka gets injured more than AD does. AD's not injured.
Gary, are the Mavs going to win a title this year with Anthony Davis and Kyrie? Nobody trusts us. Kyrie is going to stay with this team. He could leave in 2 months if they lose.
No, they're not going to win a title. I wouldn't bet on it. They're closer to a title now than they were with Luka.
Gary, I'll tell you this. For all that John is saying, if the Lakers offered us Anthony Davis for Cam Johnson, I would definitely take it.
Yeah.
If we voted right now, is Anthony Davis the MVP of the league this year? He might be.
I would say Shea is. I would say Shea is what he's doing with OKC.
Top 5.
SGA, man.
There's a short list of guys.
SGA, Jokic, and Giannis are above AD by far.
Yeah, and can Anthony Davis lead a team by himself?
Definitely not Giannis. Joker, I give you Joker every year, and SGA.
Look at it this way: Giannis and the Bucks were originally supposed to be a potential lottery team at the beginning of the season. They're now the 4th team in the East, and Giannis is averaging
them to be a lottery team. No one was picking Milwaukee.
They were a Giannis injury away, and the way that they started the season, they were horrible. They had no way to improve the roster. So what happened? Giannis decided to carry them. To me, that's better than Anthony Davis riding LeBron's coattails.
He's averaging like 30 and 12. Who's riding whose coattails?
And he's leading.
LeBron's averaging what, 25, 8, and 8 at the age of 40. He just put up a triple-double against the Knicks in a game that they just won when AD didn't play. Like LeBron does it by himself.
AD is leading them in 4 categories.
Right. Can AD carry by himself? That's the big question.
I want to do this. Compare his stats with the Lakers this year to at the end of the season with the Mavs. Watch. He does not have a playmaker like LeBron on that team. His stats will go down. He does not create like that. Like LeBron is what gave AD being number 1 caliber option worthy. Like when he was in New Orleans, he wasn't doing what he was doing with the Lakers. He wasn't carrying the Pelicans to playoff teams until DeMarcus Cousins got there.
No,
he made the playoffs once. Yeah,
he made the playoffs once and then got swept, right?
Got swept.
Yeah, but he was still a hell of a player.
Point being, there's all-time greats, and then there's guys who are just good enough to get into the first round. That's what Anthony Davis was before LeBron.
I don't look at it like that. I look at it as he's an all-time top power forward.
You can but look at James Harden, all-time great guard, but dick in the playoffs, can't do shit. There's
Gary,
individual players out there who are great, and then there's guys who win championships. AD cannot win championships.
Davis has a bubble championship, and he didn't disappear. He didn't disappear like Harden. Harden was a completely
agree. But at the end of the day, he was on the Pelicans for 6-7 years of his career. Made it to a first round once, got swept. Got DeMarcus Cousins, didn't go anywhere with him. He made the playoffs
twice, I think, and he lost. He got swept once, and he's lost twice in the first round. Maybe won 1 game.
And this year he's averaging 25 points, 7, 12 rebounds. Like it's nothing.
The Pelicans
And Gary, I agree with you. Anthony Davis is probably one of the best defenders in the league, but everybody's not looking at the bigger picture. Kyrie Irving, do we trust this guy to be a leader again? Look what he did with Boston, the Cavs, and the Nets as a leader. Nobody's thinking about that right now.
I'm gonna pull a
out at the
breezy
end of the
now.
year. He's gone.
I'm gonna
He's
pull a
gone.
breezy.
Yeah, but if Davis is all you got, you're screwed. That's the problem. If Davis is all you got, how are you going to rely on that for the next 5 years?
Here, I have some stats pulled up real quick. You ready? AD in his final year with the Pelicans, 25.9 points, 12 rebounds. He pretty much put up the same this year. He has 25.7 and 12 rebounds.
And
LeBron this year,
highest, right?
No, that was just his last year with the Pelicans, though. LeBron this year, 24 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. Do we really think LeBron or AD's putting up the numbers that he's putting up without LeBron playmaking to him?
Well, I don't know if you've been watching the Laker games, but a lot of the Laker games, they rest AD, and LeBron plays so many of the minutes, padding his stats. That's
padding or winning games? Because he's
no. I'm talking about when they're up, and he's still in the game. Like, what's he doing in the game?
Staying healthy.
He makes a fair point. Yeah, LeBron scores an inordinate amount of points in fourth quarter garbage time. He does. Like, the stats bear this out. He scores an inordinate amount of points.
And that's
in
what I'm
garbage
saying.
time.
When the game is decided, yeah.
When he's playing along AD, yes. Does he maybe go out there and do a little extra to get his numbers up? Sure. But you have a key example in last night. The dude put up a triple-double and beat the Knicks without Anthony Davis. The guy's 40 years old and he still does it all.
No one is saying he's
if he really wants to, he's...
This is not... It's not attack LeBron. It's not LeBron's over... We're just talking about the value of Anthony. No one's attacking LeBron here.
I'm just saying I don't think Anthony Davis's value is there without an all-star caliber playmaker next to him. Kyrie Irving averages 5 assists a game. That's not bad.
And if Kyrie leaves, what is the fallback? I mean, Gary, if Kyrie leaves this summer, what is the fallback plan for the Mavs? Who are they going to sign in free agency? The free agency this year is not that good. So if he leaves,
and then
there is no fallback plan.
Like I said, I don't think that AD is as injury plagued as you guys make it out to seem, although he has had injuries.
No, the last 2 years he's been very healthy.
Yeah, the last 2 years. We're talking about the 3 years after the bubble. We're talking about the 3 years after the bubble.
Let me finish my point. I don't think AD is as injury plagued as you guys make him out to be. But he has had some injury setbacks for sure. Yeah, he had about 2 or 3 years where he was injured. So I don't know how long he's going to be able to play at this level. He's already 31, right? We're already saying next year's free agency class isn't great, and the Mavs probably aren't going to bring Kyrie back. So yeah, next year's probably going to be a down year for the Mavs. I don't know what their big plan is, unless they think that this team now is a championship team, which is weird to me because you're hoping that like a light goes off and this just clicks right away because we're already midway through the season. You've been building 6 years around Luka. That was plan A, B, and C. And then just in the middle of the night, you change your mind and say, we're going to go in a completely different direction. I don't think that the Mavs are going to get back to even a Western Conference Finals. I think it's too much change all at once.
They're also the 8th seed and 2.5 games outside of a playoff spot. So it's like,
yeah, but what were they last year? What were they last year? A 5 seed? I mean, they were not.
Like that,
yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think they can. I don't think with the roster that they currently have and the 32 games that are left in the season for them to do this in, I don't see them getting past the Lakers. I don't see them getting past the Grizzlies, Rockets, Thunder. Like that's
they're probably a first. They're probably a first round exit. No better than a second round exit. Or they're not getting back to the conference finals. They're going to lose in round 1 or 2, possibly the play-in. We'll see how that goes.
Where are they currently in the standings? The Mavs, are they in play-in?
They're 8th, and they're like 2.5 or 3 games behind the 6th seed.
Interesting, very interesting.
All right, guys, I got to wrap this up. You guys want to just go around the panel and give the last question I wanted to ask is Claxton and Johnson. They're both on this roster. What day is the trading deadline? It's Wednesday, John?
Thursday at 3:00 p.m. sharp.
It's Thursday. Will Cam Johnson and/or Nick Claxton be on the roster on Friday? Dylan, I'll start with you, and then guys just go around and give your thoughts on that.
I'm going to be negative because every single time I'm positive, shit doesn't go my way. So I'm going to say yes, they're still on the roster. Hopefully they're not.
Who would you rather see traded? If I said only one of them can go, who would you rather be traded?
Currently, Nick Claxton, just because I think you can actually move Johnson later on, but you can also just sit him out too and milk this fake ass injury that they have him going on. So, yeah,
I agree. John?
Yeah, I mean, ideally you want both out, but if they're both here, you could revisit these conversations of the offseason towards draft night. But like Dylan says, Claxton's the contract you really want to move because his value's not getting any better because he can't give you anything offensively. But you look at a team like the Lakers, we can make that deal happen. And look at Memphis, Rockets, OKC. Will one of them react to one of the biggest trades in NBA history, especially with Cam Johnson being somebody that each one of them can use right now? We'll see. But I hope that there is movement at least one of these guys before 3 o'clock. On Thursday, so we'll see.
Real quickly, too, to jump in, the Mavericks have 3 tradable first-round picks, and they were shopping their 2025 pick earlier this year. I'll put it out there right now. I'm going to reach out to my guy right now just to confirm, but I think Mavericks may be looking at Cam Johnson.
Woohoo!
I can see it.
Cam Johnson to the Mavs, Claxton to the Lakers. LB, I'll close off with you. Cam Johnson, Nick Claxton.
My answers are just like Dylan's, except for I'm not changing my first answer. I told you, I think we both agreed that until proven otherwise, Cam Johnson is a net for life.
Cam Johnson and Sean Marks are here forever. Yeah, like
and as far as for the center, I would say we're gonna Claxton. I'd rather him be moved first because his value is at an all-time low, and I don't trust. Like when we say his value is at an all-time low, then Sean Marks says, "Hold my beer."
It's true. We had every opportunity to trade Johnson from draft day till now, and they haven't done it. I just kind of think Sean Marks and Cam Johnson are going to retire and get pensions from the Nets because they're going to be here so long. I just like that's kind of my inkling. I do think there's a better than 50-50 chance that Claxton gets traded to the Lakers. So here's my official prediction. Claxton gets traded. Cam Johnson does not. That's my official prediction. All right, y'all. That would not be weird, right? All right, y'all.
I got one question for you.
Go ahead.
Did the winner of the fight, did he deserve to win yesterday? I didn't see it.
Benavidez, yeah, he won. I thought he won. It was a good fight. It was competitive. I thought he won clearly. Like it was clear. I thought.
Okay.
The 118 to 108 scorecard was insane. That means besides the round he got knocked down, he won the other 11 rounds. That's insane. That is crazy. But all right, y'all. February 2nd, 2025, from Texas to the world. Thank you, and God bless.
So long.
Later.
Happy Groundhog Day, everybody.
Oh, is it Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
On the Sean Marks Day.